Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your company's IT department is, well, a complete black box? It's this place where money goes in, but clear value doesn't always seem to come out. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on a framework designed to fix all that, to transform IT from a source of chaos into a source of real, tangible business value. All right, let's just dive right into the problems first, because you have to know the pain points to appreciate the solution, right? Most organizations at some point face this set of common and honestly pretty painful IT challenges. These are the headaches that keep good managers up at night. And boom, here it is, the most immediate, gut-wrenching pain point. When a server goes down or a critical app just fails, it is not just an IT problem. No way. All of a sudden, you can't process orders. Your customer support team is just staring at blank screens. The entire business literally grinds to a halt. That's a direct hit to the bottom line, and it can really damage your reputation with customers. Then there's this classic, the disconnect. You know the story. The business side says, hey, we need this thing. And IT goes off for 6 months and builds, well, something else entirely. This gap is so common. It comes from poorly defined requirements, a lack of clear business goals, and just a fundamental misunderstanding between what technology can do and what the business actually needs it to do. It's frustrating for everyone involved. And of course, we have to talk about the money. For so many leaders, IT spending can feel like a runaway train with no one at the controls. The operational budget just creeps up year after year. Big projects go way over budget, and you end up with these failed initiatives that are just a huge financial loss. It just feels impossible to connect the millions being spent with any tangible positive results. So with all these headaches, you've got downtime, miscommunication, runaway costs, it becomes pretty clear that just throwing more technology or more money at the problem isn't the answer. What we really need is a completely different way of thinking. We need a framework for actually creating value. And that really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? How do we get out of that reactive, chaotic state and move to a place where IT is a strategic partner, a part of the team that actively helps the business win? Well, the answer lies in adopting a proven approach. And this is where a framework like the IT Infrastructure Library, or ITIL, comes into play. Now, what's really important here is this term, good practice. See, ITIL isn't some strict, rigid standard that you have to follow to the letter or else. Think of it more like a library of wisdom, a collection of processes and activities that have been proven to work time and time again in tons of different companies. It's a fantastic starting point, not a restrictive rulebook. Okay, pay attention, because this right here is the fundamental mind shift of ITIL. It's about seeing IT not as a department that manages technology, but as a provider of services. This is a huge change. Think about it. The sales team doesn't care about the email server. They care about being able to communicate with clients. The service isn't the server, it's the reliable communication that the server enables. This one idea reframes absolutely everything IT does around the outcome for the business. So, how does this all fit together? Well, to manage these services from start to finish, ITIL organizes everything into a logical flow. It's called the Service Lifecycle. You can think of it as the complete end-to-end map for taking a service from a simple idea all the way through its useful life and even to its retirement. This life cycle has 5 key stages, and here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're opening a restaurant. Service strategy, that's deciding what kind of restaurant you're going to open and who your customers are. Service design is creating the menu and planning the kitchen layout. Service transition is actually building the place and hiring and training your staff. Service operation, that's the day-to-day chaos of cooking meals and serving happy customers. And finally, continual service improvement is constantly asking for feedback and tweaking the menu to make things even better. Okay, let's zoom in on that first stage, because honestly, it's the most important one. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with service strategy. This is the point where we stop thinking about technology for technology's sake and start aligning everything IT does with the real mission of the business. This stage forces us to ask the really big questions. What business outcomes are we actually trying to achieve here? What services will help us get there? Who are our customers and what do they truly value? If you can answer these questions, you ensure that every single IT activity from this point forward has a clear, undeniable purpose. And within the strategic stage, you've got these core activities. Strategy generation is figuring out your overall game plan. Financial management is all about understanding the costs and maybe even charging for your services. Service portfolio management is basically the master list of every service you offer, are building, or have retired. And demand management, that's about anticipating what your customers will need even before they do. See? It's a business-focused approach from the very start. Now, to really get how these strategies are put into practice, we need to quickly clarify two fundamental building blocks that ITIL uses to organize all the work. It's a simple distinction, but it's absolutely critical. So, on one side, you have functions. These are your teams, your groups of people, like the service desk or the network support team. They're the who. But on the other side, you have processes. These are the structured, step-by-step actions you take to achieve a specific goal, like the exact process for resolving a system outage. That's the how. And ITIL is really focused on defining and improving these processes, no matter which function or team is doing the work. Okay, let's zoom back out for a second. We've talked about the headaches, we've talked about the core ideas of ITIL, services, the lifecycle, processes, but what's the ultimate goal here? Why does adopting this way of thinking actually matter so much in the real world? It all boils down to this. The whole point of ITIL is a total transformation. It's about moving IT away from being that reactive cost center that just fixes things when they break and turning it into a proactive strategic partner that the rest of the business sees as a key driver of its success. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about in your own organization. When you really look at your IT department, its projects, its budget, its priorities, is it truly designed and aligned to serve the core strategy of your business? Really thinking about that. Well, that's the first step on the path from chaos to value.